Going everyone, welcome to Changing Lives, hosted by me, Deonte Burton. We're here this Thursday. Gonna got a real good show planned ahead for you guys. So just sit back and relax. If you haven't, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel Changing Lives. Tonight's topic we'll be talking about the difference between taking risks and taking chances. So if you haven't, make sure anybody that you know that hasn't had a chance to tune into the station, tell them come on in. You'll be available also to go into live chat and also look at us via YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and also participate in the chat there. We'll be able to respond to you. So look forward to having that going today. Just to give a brief introduction to my past week. Now I've been talking about me getting another spot. That thing, that seemed like that went kaput. I was really enthused to probably about Tuesday and everything, and I've been back and forth. My real estate agent been doing a super job, really back and forth, trying to get everything together. But the actual owner of the building, I don't think we're gonna be able to make that happen. I'm one of those type of people that kind of stick with my word, and I get something. It's not what we originally agreed on. I get real funny by that, and that's probably, if people follow me on YouTube, I made the video yesterday about following your gut, and a lot of that was pertaining to that. Whereas you have things that you really want to do, and I really wanted that spot. It was kind of ideal for a lot of things that I wanted to do, but my intuition and my gut was telling me, "Nah, leave it alone, Poochie." And I'm in the position I am right now in life because I follow my intuition. And typically, when we go against that, that's when we enforce stuff. That's when we have bad stuff happen to us in life. So I follow my gut and follow my intuition, and hopefully, to regret it, and everything. I ain't been one to trip on money I ain't never got in my pocket, so I'll be okay. Also, let everybody know, I'm a tax accountant by profession. Tax season is coming up. My company, Majestic Business Services, we will be taking appointments starting next week, for booking, and we'll be starting pre-filing as of January 2nd. The IRS, I think, is letting transmissions go to, I think, the 27th or 28th next month. I'll be make sure I'll let everybody know at least by next week when, but it'll be no sooner than that, the 27th, 28th. But we'll, as of January 2nd, be taking applications in, especially for the fast tax, do pre-funds and things like that. Need your basic information, being like your ID, your W-2, copy of your Social Security cards. That basic information is always needed, but we'll be able to do pre-funds as of January 2nd next year. I also want to let everybody know, starting in the spring, we'll be able to roll out our webinars and our education series, as far as starting your business up, some of the basic credit 101, business 101, finance 101, confidence and strategizing 101. Those classes will be coming out in the spring. So be tuned in for that. I have some of the promos coming out, sooner in regards to that. So, make sure, again, you go to the YouTube channel, Changing Lives, and like, share, and subscribe to it, and you'll be able to see some of the products we'll be having in. But again, make sure you look to set those appointments. I have everything set up next week for you guys. You want to, need some of that early money. Can't get you no money before Christmas, but I make sure, by the 15th of January, you'll be able to party a little bit, have a little change in your pocket. Okay. Starting about with today's show, I really want to, because I hear a lot of people say different things they want to do and have different hesitations, and they say, I want to take a chance, or I'm taking a risk on something, and I don't think people really understand the difference with taking a chance and taking a risk. So I really want to use today's show to talk about that particular subject, the difference of taking a chance and taking a risk. And what I start with, kind of getting a definition of each one by one, and then we'll kind of go from there. Me and Lab will kind of discuss some things. But first, we're just looking at the issue of taking chances. And I thought about, it was an incident probably about 10 years ago. I had a client. I've been in business, it'll be 18 years next month. But shit, That way,
Man, how time
hey
flies,
man,
right?
this thing was jet black when I first started.
Right.
But about 10 years ago, and I got a client called me, a gentleman called me, and he had a family member pass, and he got an inheritance, and he was telling me, because we do a lot of front end consulting. Hey, listen, I want to start a business up. I got this inheritance that has came in, and we want to get a business up. What can you help us do? And pretty much, with my company, I'm accountant by profession, but my business, we're a one-stop shop for small businesses. We do the consulting, the tax prep, payroll, the business formations, all the strategizing, all the fun stuff for your business and stuff to ensure you're able to operate effectively and efficiently. But the gentleman wanted to know pretty much how can I help him get everything together. And he was just saying, he got this money up. He said, man, I got $50,000, all the barbecues. I cook, everybody like my food. People be talking about it, so, that's just the talk of the town. So my wife done talked to him, and now I want to, open my own little restaurant and stuff like that. And I said, okay, cool. So I said, let's, go down and get the blueprint together and everything. Like, sit down and look at the pros and cons, do an analysis of what's going on and everything. Just to get some background information. When I say that whole damn conversation went south, it went deep down south. Shit. His whole attitude changed because now we started talking. The conversation went away from getting his business set up to like homework, which is when you looking in terms of starting a business, you have to do a lot of background digging, homework, and stuff like that to get information about everything up front. And this guy, he just went like, no, I don't want to do that shit. I got this money. I'm ready to move. Look, just look. He kept asking me, do you want to get paid? I said, yeah, I want to get paid. Now I am going to get paid, but we're going to do it right. Mm-hmm. But he just was like, no, I'm ready to, I don't need to know that. The chicken's good. The people going to eat the chicken. And, they're going to come because you don't know. You probably need to talk to my wife. That's what he kept saying. Talk to my wife. People go crazy for it. They're going to come. We open it up, so I ain't worried about that. Again, this is a classic example of taking a chance. Not knowing what the hell going on. Not having any idea to open a business. I mean, just,
Let me ask you. Do you think that for most of us, we see a business, we see our I don't want to say imagination, but our fantasies about a business, and then our ambition takes over, and we don't necessarily add up the risk or the whatever you're talking about. I'm sorry, what you're talking about now. We don't take those into consideration when we start a business. We just got the money, we got an idea, and we think it's the best idea ever, and we don't sit around and think about the pros and cons of the idea. That our ambition takes over, and all we just see is money and future and businesses. We don't see anything else in between. We see the beginning and the end. We started, we working it, and we successful.
And we all live happily ever after.
We all live happily ever after. We don't see the stuff in between.
Absolutely. Here's the deal. A lot of times, I can. You gotta think about, especially living in the city of Atlanta. You got Atlanta Housewives, the richest, this and that, Atlanta and everything. Everybody and mama starting a business up, and people have no clue about the whole process of starting a business. So people, have a big false perception of what actually a business is.
Right.
And not understanding that when you're in business, this is just real talk. You gonna work 20 hours a day just so you don't have to work 40 hours a week. Mm-hmm. And as backwards as that sound, that's really the whole essence of being in business. That you're gonna have to work 20 hours a day so you don't have to work 40 hours a week. And if you're not mentally prepared for that kind of grind, you really probably gonna get you a job. And I always tell people there's nothing wrong with that, because the thing of it is that you want to be, in my view, the end game is to be happy. Mm-hmm. So if you go to your job, you work there 30 years and you're happy, that's what you want. If you working 20 hours a day on your business and stuff like that and you're happy, that's what you want. So it's not a right or wrong, but you got to make sure that you're mentally prepared for that. So like to your question you asked me, the people have like this false idea of business.
Exactly.
Yeah. They want to, be the Suge Knight or see, Puffy, oh Lord, and everything. You think that's just it and everything.
They didn't see Puffy dancing on the video before he became, 800 million in, right?
No. And they probably don't see Puffy stretching out behind closed doors and how I'm going to pay this, how I'm going to pay that, and everything like that. And that's a humongous part about it. When those sleepless nights, those stressful days, and those moments when you got to rob Peter to pay Paul and just got to figure it out. Entrepreneurs kind of thrive in that. You about crazy as hell. We really kind of cool with doing that. And if you're not really mentally built for that, it's probably not best for you.
The fun part about it is figuring out how to solve the problem.
Absolutely.
Because if you figure out how to solve it, then you won't ever have that problem again because you already know what to do to fix it before it even starts. I'm going to give you a good example.
Mm-hmm.
I work for a guy. He owns shopping centers all over the place.
Uh-huh.
And this is like 2008. I worked for him like almost 10 years.
Uh-huh.
And when the housing crisis happened, it hit shopping centers too. When the housing crisis happened, he had notes that were due. Bank of America was calling his notes for $800 million. I mean, we ain't talking about little money. We talking about he owed $800 million.
Yeah, I'm gonna have it cost $800 million.
They wanted to hit because what he was doing was he would buy one shopping center, get it built, then take out a loan on that shopping center to build the next shopping center, and it worked fine for a long time. But what happened was when that housing market happened, all the banks that he owed money to wanted their money. They was calling in those notes. Mm-hmm. So, it came to a total of about $825 million that he didn't have. Now, don't get me wrong. He tried to figure out how to get it, and he was an entrepreneur. He started with fitness centers and stuff like that. But what happened was when it came time to pay the notes, he just couldn't figure out how to do it. Mm-hmm. And everybody saw the business, how he was living. He had this big house he was living, but they ain't see him being sleepless at night because he trying to figure out how to pay this $825 million that he owed, or else his business is going to crash.
Exactly.
Eventually, he had to close, but it's just the point of there's a lot of things in between business that we don't see, that all we see is the success. We don't see the getting up at night. Like me, like with this. I work another job. I work a full-time job in the day. I do this at night. But I love doing it, so I'm going to continue to do what I do, but it's still a grind. Mm-hmm. Because after you guys leave, I got to edit videos. I got to do this. Before you know it, it's 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, but I got to go to sleep and get up again at 6,
Mm-hmm.
So people don't understand that business is business, but business won't be successful unless you put in the time to make it successful. And it may take you 27 hours out the day to make it successcer. You get what I'm saying? So I think people need to understand that the middle part of it, the beginning is great. The middle is what messes us up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Even speaking of myself, I worked in corporate America for 15 years while I was building everything up and starting the businesses up and everything. And one thing about it, like you just saying, dealing with that middle part, I think that's when most people figure out what they can and can't do and what they are and what they are and aren't built for or with doing it. Because I'm always going to tell people, try it. If you try it and if it worked, great. If it don't work, at least you tried. But give it an honest effort in trying to do it. And I think that's what most people probably kind of get off, just in terms of that initially trying and be realistic that, I'm finna go into a process and I'm finna go through this process commit to it for a year or maybe longer than a year, and that's really what I want to do. And because if it doesn't happen fast enough, that's when people get out of that, and you have to be mentally prepared for that. And that's kind of going back into what we're talking about, people taking a chance.
Okay.
When
I'm sorry I got off topic.
Oh no. No, here's the deal, because it's not that you get off topic. It's just so much that goes into that one topic and everything. But with taking a chance, is really you just going off, just assumptions with starting something. Excuse me, you have no concrete information, no rationale behind it, straight emotions. What you like, what you feel like, what you think, what you want to do, and everything, and you're not looking at no other kind of planning whatsoever in terms of thinking about it. There's no thought as far as how you're going to do things in the future, except probably the good part. Just like, okay, man, I can. If they tell me that I can sell these, I sell, I'm selling all for $5. I sell 100 of them, I make $500. Not thinking about you sell them for $5, but they cost $4.50, and they cost 50 cents to ship, and you're gonna break even. And it just don't run across their mind to do that. And that's we start talking about taking chances, and it's a lot of times people. I don't want to say it's being unrealistic, it's being crazy. A lot of times it's being selfish, because a lot of times we go out and just take blind chances and just jump off a cliff without a parachute. We're hoping things are going to happen. You ever, and it's not to beat up on nobody, but it's just being honest. You ever talk to sometimes people, maybe some religious folks, and they'll say, "Well, look, I'm just gonna pray on it." And I say, "Look, okay, I get that. That's cool. You're gonna pray on it, but you need to research this information. Mm-hmm. Well, God gonna work it out. Okay, and God gave you a brain. Mm-hmm. Okay, God gave you ability to think. God gave you 2 arms and legs if you see and research it. But by them saying, I'm like, God take care of it, they've taken everything off of them.
Right.
They push that whole accountability thing off of them. Just a blind, reckless behavior. This is what we said, taking that chance. There's no kind of thought behind it, strictly emotion. I see it, I'm going to do it. Hey, listen, I heard about, years ago, people went crazy saying I'm selling Nona juice. This shit, we can just buy a case of this and, and you make money selling Nona juice. And then they stop selling Nona juice. What they start doing? Selling water. So we get water doing that. And what was the thing last year I seen all over the internet? Tea. You drink some tea, you lose 10 pounds.
What about their rap? They rap you with that.
Oh, Lord. Come on now. And so that's the thing. So now you invest all this money into this tea and to this rap. And you sit down, look at it, you calling all your family and friends up, and you're like, okay, well, I know all these people, they're going to buy it. They're not interested in that. So now you done bought all this damn tea and raps. You might have came out better just go get some damn laxatives. And you an entrepreneur, and that's the thing about we say taking those risks, where you're looking at you've taken that extreme chance on something you blindly going into, no kind of thought about the pros and cons or whatever, or how this can affect you adversely. You sit here and I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna follow my dream and everything. I'm gonna just speak for myself. I was at a job 15 years, and it took me almost 2 years of planning and doing everything before I stepped out on, I stepped out on faith. But again, I had enough sense to sit here and know that, hey, I had to, prepare myself. Like I said, it took me almost 2 years to kind of get myself into the situation where, expenses are cut, this, that, and that, things were taken out, all those things, and I can live at a bare minimum. But you hear folks like, look, baby, I know I've been there 20 years, but I'm finna go on and I'm quitting. Yeah, shit.
I'm taking into account the insurance, the health insurance you're going to need.
Yeah. Cashing in the kids' college fund and everything. We finna invest in oil. And, everybody in the house looking at you like you crazy and stuff like that. And your family, they'll follow you because your family believe in you a lot of time. Your family love you. Mm-hmm. And 6 months into it, everything gone. And then y'all, you done lost the car. Then you done lost where you stay at. And now you're sitting there on the corner trying to, you all destroyed and dejected. Not because things didn't swing your way. Not because, the world cruel to you. Not because your family and friends didn't support you. Because you didn't take the time out to research it and make sure that it could be a viable option. It doesn't mean that thing wouldn't work that you tried. And that's what happens a lot of times. People try to do certain things in life, and when it doesn't work, they want to blame everybody else why it didn't work. A lot of times it comes down to what you didn't do. And that's one of the biggest things in business. You have to be super accountable. And again, I talk about that word a lot, where everything falls down on you and you're looking at covering every measure. And that's one of the things where we start talking about taking chances. And so we go through that, as far as taking the chances, we go to our other side of the other coin of it. We start talking about, taking risks. And when I start thinking about taking a risk. You still, in essence, they're still in the same family. So risk and chances are still cousins, but Chance is probably the crazy cousin, and Risk is that cousin that probably everybody look at funny. When he started talking, they're not they're scared of Chance, but they're probably a little uncomfortable with Risk. Kind of thinking about it in terms of things with risk. You ever notice sometimes, like, you just see a company like a Coca-Cola, and they want to have a rollout with new flavors and stuff like that, and they may go out to different concerts or do different different things, putting it out. Yeah, taste testing, the focus groups, and pushing it out there. They may just ask different people and push certain things, and they say, look, we're going to commit $500,000 on a nationwide project to kind of see how this pineapple flavor Coke is going to taste. We're committing this money, and if it does work, we push it out to market. We got X amount of people that's going to buy it. We got potential to make $30 million, off our buying base if they like pineapple Coca-Cola. Right. Everything's thought out. Everything's planned. They do that. They push the Coke out. They got these people, giving their feedback, doing all this other kind of stuff. And keep in mind, they could have did, some other things with that $500,000. They could have got, maybe Deonte Burton is a sponsor of Coke. But seriously, there were other things they viably could have done with that, but they're taking that risk to say, hey, listen, we're going to put this money up, but we're going to do some things to kind of see, how this will go about it. And if it works, they got potential, like I said again, maybe make $30 million. If it fails, they knew that on the front end that they could lose that $500,000, and that was the risk they were willing to take. So that's a example in terms of just taking risk, and everything. So you what you potentially can lose with it, but you're trying to sit there and look at all the ways to hedge the risk or hedge the loss, or the things that you could do so you don't encounter the loss. And those are one of the things why I talk about example of a risk. But pretty much when you're taking a risk, you're sitting down and doing all your due diligence to gather all your information. That's the word I was looking for. Well, your due diligence.
I was just about to say, don't they do the due diligence is very important.
Absolutely. They're doing their due diligence. They're gathering information. Everything's methodical. They've actually probably made a plan to sit here and say, hey, we want to do this. And when you're taking a risk, you're sitting there going through all the different things. Now, again, you cannot, for the simple fact it's not a for sure thing, you cannot say, hey, this is going to happen. But when you're taking a risk, you're trying to hedge all the losses. When I say hedge, I mean more so mitigate or reduce it happening. So when you're doing that, you're doing everything possible so you don't encounter that loss. So you're doing that due diligence, doing your homework, gathering information, doing that legwork out there to make sure that, hey, look, this is what we want to do. We're going to take this time to gather this information so we don't have that loss. A person that takes risks, that's how they think. Let me do my homework on the front end. Let me try to sit here and do all the reporting I can. An individual that takes risks, they're going to seek out those trusted advisors. That's why the president has a cabinet. That's why, in major corporations have that board of trustees, or what's the other word for it? Your board members.
Yeah, board.
Yeah, to sit here and take advantage of all their human capital. They have a plan they want to do. You have people that on a board may have 20 years of finance experience, 20 years of marketing experience, 20 years of legal experience, so they can get those ideas and bounce them off each other and everything. You don't have groupthink or just one person just shooting off the hip saying, hey, this is what I want to do. And when shit don't go right, you're sitting there looking like, man, I didn't know. And when you're in business, I don't know can be disastrous.
That's true.
So that's why when we're looking at risk, you have those trusted advisors. You present what you're looking to do, give them the information, let them give you back feedback. Be willing to listen to the feedback, because again, you're you got a good chance is both ways to get some information you didn't really want to hear.
Let me ask you on the due diligence part.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find with your consulting and things that you do for small businesses, do you find that with small business owners, the due diligence part is the hardest part for them because they don't want to take the time out to do that part, to research exactly what they want to do and how they want to do it and how they want to start it and how they want to, where they want to come in the middle and where they want to be maybe 5 or 10 years down the line? Do you think that small businesses just don't want to do it because they're just so, maybe, I don't want to say blind to it, or maybe they're just so excited about the business aspect of it that they don't realize that there's the due diligence part you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna start a daycare, you have to know where you're gonna start a daycare if there's 7 other daycares on that same block.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are 7 other daycares on that same block, what rates are they charging? How many kids can they take? Do they offer food? Do they give meals? Do they change Pampers? What's the age of the kids that's within there? Do they take 1-year-olds or do they take babies?
Mm-hmm.
Is it, some daycares, is it 24 hours? It's certain things that you have to know in order for yourself to have a decent daycare on a block with 7 other daycares. You can do it, but you have to offer something that those other daycares are not offering in order for get the customers to come to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 7 daycares on the same block doing all the same thing,
mm-hmm.
Somebody's gonna fail out the 7, and it's usually the 7th one who's establishing themselves because the other 6 have already did what they need to do because they're already on the block. You get what I'm saying? So, I just want to know: do you think in your interactions with small businesses that they just don't want to do the due diligence part?
That's a real good question, Lab. And here's the deal. I don't think initially people don't want to do the due diligence. The issue comes up is when you want to start a business, you're so enthused about what you do. You just amped up, man. I've been doing this landscaping, man. I want to cut this grass. I want to get this stuff. Hey, man, I'm an electrician. I know how to, set up these systems, plumb. I know how to do that. And they're so amped up about what they do. And when you come to a person like me to say, hey, do you do diligence, get the homework, we start talking about the things like management, finance, marketing, structure, forecasting and all that other kind of stuff. I'm almost talking Chinese to them. They know that stuff exists, but they don't know. Now what happens is they get discouraged. They get discouraged because what happens to you now, all that confidence that you had when you wanted to start your business or do it, is going down the drain. Why? Because now you realize how much stuff you don't know.
Right.
And that scares you because you feel like this guru in terms of, hey, man, I can do this, I can do this and do that. But you understand, but you never thought about what you did know.
Right.
And 2 things going to have to happen right then and there. That person has to sit down, buckle down, and try to be informed on what they don't know, or try to find people that know what they don't know to help them and support them what they're doing. But even when you do that, you still got to have some kind of bare minimum knowledge on there because you don't want to have all these people around you giving you information and hell, they could be lying to you.
Right.
So you still want to be able to know, okay, I understand what you're saying, that makes sense, instead of somebody just telling you something. Excuse me. So that's one of the things. People, I think they genuinely want to be great. They genuinely want to be great. They genuinely want to be successful, and they genuinely want to make a viable company that's going to last and be there for years to come. But they really aren't realistic about what they need to do and what they're not bringing to the table,
right,
and everything. So that's a good question because again, a lot of folks, they don't really think about that until they at a major point. Then when I say a major point, now you're at that you're about to get that loan, you're about to sign that contract, about to sign that lease, and now you got all the fear mounted because now you don't hit to the door because your enthusiasm put you to the door. And when you want to start a business or you to make any kind of life change, I want to move, I want to get a divorce, I want to buy this car, career change or whatever. That once you unlock that door, you don't know what the hell is over the other side of that door. You hope it's happiness and all this good stuff and everything, but shit, that ain't how life works. And the better you can prepare yourself for all those counter punches and everything, you'll be better alone. Because it still may not work. I tell a lot of kids when I coach football, and they'll sit there, just say you do your basic blocking drill, and they'll run up to the guy to block them and engage into him, and son, you gotta understand, they're not gonna let you block them.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're not, like they ain't gonna just stand there. So you go into and knock the hell out of them and make contact. Okay, he finna turn around and knock the hell out of you.
Right.
And that's the thing about it. Can you handle that counter punch? You ever heard what the saying Mike Tyson had? Everybody got a plan until they get punched.
Should they get
hit? And you hear all the times all the people like, yeah, well, Tyson's like this, and I can do this, and I can do that. Well, I remember Frank Bruno, the British guy. He was just going in. He hasn't been did this. I'm gonna get him tired. This, that, and that. And you seen that first hook he did to his side. And Bruno, Tyson like 5'10", 5'9", and Bruno like 6'5".
Yeah.
And when he hit them ribs, you just tell
He buckled.
every damn thing that man had planned going into that ring. He went from boxer to survivor. Shit, he was moving around, and that's business. Well, you sit here and say to yourself, I got this plan, and or not just even business, just life. I got this plan. This is what I want to do, and you started. Something happened, and everything get derailed.
Yeah.
And everything it just happens and all the time. And I talk to people about it all the time. You got to be prepared for the something happen.
Mm-hmm.
Can't tell you what the something happen. Now there's some things that commonly do happen and everything, and we can try to be prepared for it, but you can't be prepared for everything.
That's true.
Just people have to make sure that they're in a position where they can sit here and just kind of think things out. Even with risk takers, a lot of times they're very good decision makers. Going back to the video I had yesterday, looking at past things that happened to your life, because we always want the best to happen for us and the best for people that we know and love. And when we have those moments where, look, I got this information, a good decision maker will gather that information, and if they're still not for sure, they'll go off their intuition to say, okay, look, my gut, typically what happened in my life, this ain't gonna work for me. I ain't feeling right about that. And you want something to happen. I'm telling you, I want this car, I want that car. I've seen people at and I'm not talking bad about anybody, but it's just my personal feeling. I've been at dealerships, and you see people sometimes praying they go get the car, the man come back out and give you a favorable thing so you approve. I kind of look at the other side of it. Shit, it might be best you don't get it, because when he come back approve you, he's gonna give you a shitty deal. Believe you me, because if you go and had a good deal, he just went off of there from the get go. He want to just make the deal happen. So this thing that you praying for, you hoping happen, hell, you might be getting something that getting it. Well, I might can get overtime. I think they are hiring part time down the street. I know Walmart gonna be doing this, that, and that. You don't want that shit in your life. No. So and your gut telling you, look, you don't need that, and everything. So you may can't get that car. You may have to downsize. You may have to be uncomfortable for a year or two with the thing you can't afford. Get it, rebuild yourself. 2 years, go back to the lab and get you what you want.
Yeah, I mean, I had to do that. I'm not shy about it. I drive a Versa. The smallest car, but after divorce, everything like that, what I went through as far as divorce and stuff, my credit was bad. So I had to start where I could. It was a new car, 0 miles on it, and it was a small Versa. Of course, I want something else bigger, but I know for a fact that I can't afford something else bigger right now. I'm doing this business, I'm working, I got other bills, So you have to weigh the risk. You have to say to yourself, okay, I want a better car. I want to be styling, profiling too. But on the opposite side, if I get the other car, will I even be able to keep it? If I'm paying $600 a month, you know what I'm saying? Or I can keep this little car when I'm paying $200 a month. You get what I'm saying? So
absolutely,
you have to weigh those risks. And I'm trying to start this business. If this business take off, I may be able to afford the $600 car straight cash. So you have to think of those things as you go through things, because everybody wants something better for themselves, but a lot of times that better is not necessarily what you need right at that particular point. And I wanted to go back to something else as far as small business is concerned. I think people don't also, and you can address this when I'm done. I don't think people also weigh the emotional toll it takes on you when you start a business, especially if you start a business, if you have a family and all those things, the emotional toll it takes on you. This business not taking off. It's not doing what I'm thinking it's supposed to doing. Man, did I make a mistake? I got to pay the mortgage and the rent at my spot. It's just, and the business not doing well this month. So I think people also need to weigh those. Do you? I mean, I know you probably do because you pretty straightforward about everything. Do you talk to them about the emotional toll it might take on them too? Not giving them psychological help, but just, hey, you need to weigh all this stuff out.
Absolutely. To your first point, where you bring it up in terms of just knowing where you are in life, with that goes back to, knowing what you're trying to do and where you're trying to be, and realistically, can you do that? And if you can't make those simple decisions for yourself, you're gonna be stuck in limbo like a lot of folks that can't get, well, I can't do this, and man, this stuff ain't happening, this, that, and that, and everything. A lot of times we cause ourselves that. Like you just said, you go through that thought process. Look, let me be uncomfortable, and let me be okay with being uncomfortable for a certain period of time, so I can be very comfortable later on. Yeah. And a lot of people just don't want to come to that way of thinking. Now, to go to your second question in terms of the emotional toll, I can speak just for me personally. I know I was probably a ticking damn time bomb, maybe, I would say maybe 5 months prior to leaving my job and going in for myself, because the stress level of what I was going through. And I know I probably put my family and close friends, people like, what the hell wrong with Poochie? And Poochie crazy as hell, man. This, that, and I could see, and I with doing it, and you're not consciously trying to be a certain way or be nasty with people, but it's just straining you out. And people, and to answer your question, I do talk to people a lot about that whole psychological stressful position, because I want people to be mentally prepared for that. You cannot go into business, or you can't go into any kind of life-changing, like I just said, leaving your job, moving, or whatever, starting over. You cannot go into that stuff willingly. Well, you say you want to do that, because you can't change it if something just happened. Hey, you get sick, you get fired, hell, you can't change that shit. You just got to, like I say, feel bad for a certain period of time, can't make it too long, regroup, shit, and just move on. And I probably a little bit more quicker than that, me being former military, but in general, stuff you can't control, it just happens. But when you voluntarily want to make changes in your life, you need to first and foremost make sure you mentally prepared for that shit to happen. You need to be mentally prepared for that stuff to happen. Because if you think that 1 + 1 is going to equal 2, you crazy as hell. You got to understand that, it can be, 4 minus 2. It could be -6 + 8, all the way. So my point with that is you're going to go through all kind of highs and lows before you get to that particular point. And it just doesn't happen like that. And you got to really kind of callous yourself. I don't want to say hard. You got to damn near callous yourself to be like, look, I'm finna go through some shit. Prepare your family and friends. Look, man, I'm finna go through some shit. Look, man, I might, hey, I can't talk this, that, and that. Certain things you might have been normally able to do, I can't do that because I'm finna go through war for the next year and a half and stuff like that. And if you kind of mentally prepare yourself for that kind of stuff, even when you go through stuff, it don't really hit you as hard. Right. Because things not happen as fast as you want, because you prepared yourself for that. If you just prepare yourself for the good times and for all the great things happen, that's typically when you have folks quit early, be dejected. Why that shit didn't happen, this, that, and that. I tried it. You gave it an attempt, but you really didn't damn try. Right. And that's a big damn difference. You giving it an attempt, it's kind of like you looking at, and everything, looking at it. It's kind of like we're talking about, we're taking the risk. You give it an attempt, but did you do everything in your power to say, man, I gave that shit an honest effort. It just didn't work. And I've done that before in my life, where I've been in business, say I was in business, and the shit didn't work. And I look back and say, man, I got out of what I put into it. Right. Just being real. And I've been in business where I had about 12 years ago, I had that studio. I mean, we really tried. And when I say we didn't make any damn money, shit. But anybody knows my cheap ass, when I see the ship sinking, trust me, I'm not finna, this one captain ain't finna go down with a damn boat. Hell no, hell, I liquidate real quick. I wasn't finna go down with that boat, and everything. But I can honestly say we really tried. I'm not a music aficionado and everything. I learned quick, stay in my lane. But I really did give it an honest effort, in my capacity,
Right.
and everything. So that's why I think a lot of times people just really don't give a honest effort with doing that. So that's probably one of the things, when we start looking in terms of those people that taking chances and people that taking risks, how much of an effort, with the risk you take and with that chance, with the risk, with the chance you take, are they even taking any kind of, taking any effort or whatever to kind of look at what they're doing, what they could lose, how that could affect them, personally, with your family, business, financially, whatever, without just going blindly into something.
Yeah, I think a lot of times in business, when we start a business and we do things, we don't want it to fail, and we have this thing to where we don't want to be embarrassed that it failed. You get what I'm saying? We start a business, we tell our family, we tell our friends, this business just taking off, and then the business starts to fail, and us and our selfishness and ego, we don't want to just let like you say, you saw a ship sinking, you went on here and got up off that ship. Some people will go down with the ship because they don't want to be embarrassed about the fact that ship is sinking and that business is failing, and people they're afraid what people gonna say. Well, his business failed. You know how, and I think a lot of times people have to take in the pros and cons and say to themselves, this may fail. This may not accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, but at some point I have to learn something from it and take from it what I can, and maybe the next business will do better. And I don't think people realize that, or people take that into account. Well, I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, just in general, when you deal a lot more business people than I do, and I think that ego kicks in a lot of times. They just gonna go down with that shit because they too embarrassed to say it's failed, that they failed.
Well, see, what happens, like you said, people get so caught up in perception and what people look at you and what they think you are and where you at in life. And, people say, well, look, Pooch, you doing good. Pooch got this, that, and that. And see, this is probably, the difference probably with me, and I think with a person that, like I said, just be devastated. Two things. When I have a mishap in life, and I think most people that know me will agree with this, when I have a mishap or a failure in life, I hurt just as much as the next person. The probably difference with Poochie and probably people that probably kind of wired similar like me, I have probably a 48-hour period. I'm gonna be fucked up. I'm just, hey man, leave me alone. Like I'm bunkered in the walls and this, that, and that. But after that 48-hour period over, I'm back into it. It's over. It's over. Hey, let's go and get it fixed or whatever. 48 hours, that's the max. And people that aren't, you see people when a deal didn't go through or things didn't happen, they're devastated. Weeks, months, days, they never done recover. They still in the damn bed. That whole spirit is just shattered. And the second thing that I want to get at, and just to what you were asking me, is people have to realize that situation is just that situation. The business failed. Listen, everybody, the business failed, but you are not a failure.
Exactly.
And that's what people don't want to come to the realization. That didn't work. Okay, I tried it. It didn't work. It failed, but I'm not a failure. That's not a reflection on me. So when we say, like you said about with the egos and stuff like that, you got to have enough confidence in yourself to know that, well, what you bring to the table, that's not an actual a definition of you.
Okay.
And that's why a lot of people get it twisted in terms of, hey man, I tried this, that, and that, and I'm it didn't work, and I lost everything, this, that, and that. It didn't work. You failed at it. You failed the test. Go take another damn test.
Right.
Go do another one.
Some people don't even try.
Hey, shit, man.
Some people don't even try. They don't even try. The failing part sometimes is what you need in order to do better the next time. Because everybody's not going to have a successful business out the gate. There's some things you need to learn within business, and failing is what teaches you what you need to learn. Absolutely. And I don't think people realize that you have to fail sometimes in order to do better the next time. Yeah, we all fail. I started tons of businesses
Uh-huh.
and failed at all of them.
Absolutely.
Not me personally, but the businesses have failed over time.
Uh-huh.
But I'm gonna keep starting and keep doing them because, for one, I like to do it, and for two, I always learn something different from when I did the last one till I do the next one.
Gotcha.
And sometimes people got to take into consideration when it fails that maybe it was to teach them something, and they can take it to their next business. Don't give up on business, because if we all just gave up on business, there will be no businesses. You get what I'm saying? There will be no small business, and small business is what makes the world go round. You can look at all these conglomerates and all that stuff all you want to, but if there were no small business men and women within the neighborhoods and communities where they live, then there will be there will be no success as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
So I think failure is a part of business, is a part of growth, is a part of learning and teaching yourself what the business is about and how you can make it better the next time.
Absolutely. Small businesses fuel America.
Exactly.
It's probably more people out here working for all the different hundred thousands of Mr. Childs around here than they are working for a Walmart or a Delta and stuff. And so small businesses fuel the country. Before I go any further, also, hey, you are tuning in to Changing Lives, hosted by me, Deonte Burden. We have a real good show today. Make sure that you go to the YouTube channel, Changing Lives. You can pull up Changing Lives or pull up me, Deonte Burden. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of good information on there also. But Lab had a good point where he was just mentioning the failure and people learning from it. You got to look at failure as an education. Now, again, we talk about going back to what we were saying before with risk. If you sit there and look at the risks you have and make sure that you're not putting yourself in a situation where you're about to lose the house, the car. Now, you actually taking a risk or a hypothetical may a chance, but you're sitting there putting yourself in a situation where I'm going to make sure I'm very uncomfortable. I could lose this amount of money. If you got $100,000 to your name, let's say $20,000 to your name, it's not going to kill me to lose this $5,000. I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be hurt, but I can live with losing this $5,000. And if you can sit here and do that, you done your homework and stuff like that. If it didn't work, well, you can go back later and say, man, you know what? I maybe should have did this at this time of year. Take it from an educational standpoint and learn from it and grow. Don't be afraid about doing that. What I do, I hope everybody got a lot of, we're enlightened about what we talked about in terms of the difference of taking risks and taking chances. We had a good conversation. Feel free to leave comments, and also, you send me messages if you have questions about it later. When you go to the YouTube page, you'll see the link as far as my consulting firm, where we the D Burden Consulting, where we actually, if you're looking to start a business up, it's just a matter of hitting me up, booking an appointment, and I get you squared away. Easily can reach me, inbox me, or send me a message and stuff. Feel free to do that. Again, my company, Majestic Business Services, was one-stop shop for small businesses. Anything you want to do as far as your small business, from starting it up, your payroll, your accounting, with tax prep, we do it all for you. So feel free to look us up, if you have any further questions, especially from the consulting side. I have the link typically on the Facebook and also on the YouTube. But while I was winding down, one thing I want to give you guys is a quick financial tip. We're nearing year's end, and one thing about it, when I mentioned about I spent about a year and a half trying to get myself in a situation to leave my job. One thing I think hinders a lot of people is credit card debt. And what people need to realize is you can be stuck in credit card debt paying on a certain balance with the minimum for years. And you can be 2 or 3 years in paying the minimum and really ain't put a damn dent into it, depending on how high your rate is. So what I want to tell everyone is you can call at any time, and I give the advice at least twice a year, calling your credit card company and just, hey, look, can I get a new rate? I mean, my rate that you have, I know I might have credit issues 2 or 3 years ago when I got the card. I'm doing a little better. You got me at 20%. Can you bump it down to 8? They may turn around and give you 15. But I would make it a common practice, if you can, to call your credit card companies at least twice a year if you probably don't have a unfavorable rate, and see if you renegotiate that rate. Typically, you can do that at the end of the year or in the middle of the year to see what they could do. It may work, it may not work, but I will say this. What you got to lose? if you're already paying, of each payment, 7% of it going to damn interest. If you can change that 7% of it to 50%, or even maybe 30% of it going towards interest, it's a no-brainer. So kind of make that a common practice, and I think you'll see a whole lot, especially from a cash flow perspective, what you're paying now and being more effective as far as paying the principal or the total balance of that credit card balance down quicker if you can get rate reduced. And listen, it's just a phone call. Hey, listen, I've been looking over everything. Now, keep in mind, make sure your stuff is semi-okay. Now, if you just had a crash or something bad, you know they're not going to entertain that conversation. But if you're on that trek of trying to build everything, get everything corrected, just kind of make it a common practice twice a year. Let me call my creditors. Let me call my credit card place where you have those variable rates, like credit card places especially. Hey, can we negotiate my rate and everything? They can't do them. Say two things, yes or no. And you're not losing anything with a no. Got everything to gain with a yes. Kind of winding down with the show, and I kind of want to go into something I was thinking about the other day when I was looking at what we're talking about today. My grandfather raised me. I had teenage parents, and so typically what happened a lot of times with a lot of teenage parents, your grandparents raised me, and everybody know me. They know WC. That's my grandfather. That's probably the most influential person in my life, and I pretty much act a lot like my grandfather, and that's good and bad. It's probably some of the bad ways he had. I picked him up, and I think he had more good ways than bad, and I picked up most of his good ways. And I think I kind of pushed my life to be a real stand-up guy, and I think that's, for the most part, a reputation I have with most people of being that kind of person. And I learned that directly from my grandfather. But when he passed, I was still in the military, and what always sticks in my mind, I don't know why it just was important, because I've been to gazillion funerals. I don't say gazillion, but hell, one too many. But just been a lot of funerals, and a lot of times people get a eulogy, and they give it, and you remember when they start, you remember the end, because that's when everybody get all crunk and start, this, that, and that. But I remember my grandfather's eulogy from beginning to end. It stuck with me, and I believe probably because the guy, Reverend Blackman, they gave, he was a childhood friend of my grandfather's. He knew him, so he put a lot of thought into that eulogy, and the subject of that eulogy was the urgency of now. I remember like it was yesterday. Hell, it's almost 20 years ago. And that is what a lot of times I always want people to kind of focus on, the urgency of now. And what he was stressing, don't put off tomorrow what you can do today. Don't think that tomorrow will come and it's going to work out like that. The shit that you can do to help yourself today, take care of it. Don't assume that tomorrow and all this good stuff is going to happen in the future. Life don't work that way. We hope it do, but it just don't. And a lot of times we get so caught up into, even when we're talking about stuff with business, as far as planning a year from now, 5, 10 years from now, having all this stuff together. I want to make sure I got my kids' college fund together. I'm going to work 20 years because I want to make sure I got a good retirement and everything like that. Don't lose the future and forget about the now, because you can sit here and I know you hear different people saying different things in terms of, you can't die with that money, this, that, and that. No, you can't. So but with that said, you can't be damn foolish and assume that hey, I'm just living how, spending how I live and all that. I can't take it with me. That's BS, because that's a whole nother show. We talk about legacy and building for your family and everything like that. Just being responsible. I feel like is making sure your lineage is taken care of well after you're gone. I'm more so talking about losing yourself in terms of not even enjoying life because you're focused on other things and everything. So just that's one thing I really want to embark on everybody. Just have that urgency now. Enjoy life. Appreciate yourself. Appreciate the things that that you get for free. We talked about that last show. Your family, your health, shit that can be taken, at any time. You can go get you another job. You can go get you another house. You can go get you another car. That replaceable shit is cool, but that stuff, keyword can be replaced. You can't replace your health. You can't replace your family. You can't replace you. When you start thinking about doing stuff that compromises the person that you are, you may want to kind of hedge away from that. So that's one thing I really want people to just remember this. Really remember the urgency of now. the series of, the actions that you do, how they affects you now. When you get up in the morning, make sure you're doing things that's going to be impactful to you and also be impactful to other people. I think you'll appreciate life a whole lot more. Again, this is Deonte Burton, host of Changing Lives. Please go to the YouTube channel, like, share, and subscribe to it. Put the word out. I really appreciate all the support I've been getting so far. Like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Changing Lives. Again, like I said at the beginning of the show, we're going to have a great 2019. I'm going to be pushing more information out what we're going to be doing. We got the classes coming. We got the webinars coming. We got tax season coming. That's my money making time. Shit. So I need y'all to start booking them appointments. We'll have that calendar open up next week and everything. But definitely, please, again, Changing Lives hosted by me. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. But lastly, please, remember the urgency of now. Enjoy life. Take care of each other. Love yourself. Love your family. And do good things out there to help yourself and other people. Take care.